VocalEye Almost Live Zoom, East Van Panto, The Little Mermaid, hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guests Maiko Yamamoto and Dawn Petten.
So a big welcome to you all to this VocalEye Almost Live event. My name is Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director here at VocalEye. I'm your host for these Almost Live events, and I'm a very proud member of the blind community. And I spend my Wednesdays in this space with you all time after time after time after time, and it's the best. I say this all the time. It's the best part of my week. I feel privileged to be a part of this community. When I lost my sight when I was 24 years old, this community was nothing but welcoming to me and taught me a lot of things that I didn't think I would ever learn. So I am forever grateful to folks in this space for humbly being my friend and my confidant and supporting VocalEye in these spaces. You're just a wonderful group of folks, and it's a gift to know each and every one of you. So thank you for spending your Wednesdays in this space with me, and for folks who are local coming to the theater and hanging out. It's really just lovely to spend time with you and to like have coffees and grab lunches and do all those kinds of things that that friends in a community do. So we're grateful for all the testimonials that come in. We're grateful for folks who buy 50/50 tickets. We're grateful for folks who make donations. It all helps support the VocalEye organization. And if you happen to be watching on our YouTube channel, you too can join in supporting VocalEye in many ways, subscribing to our newsletter, hitting like and subscribe on the YouTube page. You can also purchase 50/50 tickets when they become available. You can donate at any time of year through our website. Just follow us, become a theater buddy, learn about what we're doing, and join in the movement to make theater accessible for folks who are blind and partially sighted. So that's what we're all about here at VocalEye. VocalEye is broadcasting to you from the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations in particular. So I was thinking about this land acknowledgement for tonight. Not everybody celebrates, Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, but the winter solstice is a thing that, although you may not celebrate it, kind of is a thing that exists based on patterns of the sun and the moon and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought maybe I'd look at the winter solstice, and it is something that Indigenous peoples since time immemorial have followed its patterns. And so for many Indigenous peoples in Alberta, winter solstice is a season of medicine for the body and the spirit. Brenda Holder, who is a Cree guide around the region of Jasper in Alberta, says, the winter season is a period for regeneration. It's a period for reflection and traditional teachings many Indigenous peoples honor and they call upon during this winter season. Despite the cold weather and short days, the forest and its surrounding land provides natural remedies to treat illnesses. It's not only spiritual. Oh, sorry, friends, I lost my spot here. It's not only spiritual. It's not only spiritual regeneration that the forests in winter can provide, but physical healing as well. While not easy, Brenda says, the land provides medicines that coincide with our own ailments of the season, so of the winter season. It's amazing, she says, to see the forest provide the medicines that we need at the time that we need them. It's in conjunction with our needs that plants actually know that there is a cold and flu season. So, sore throats and coughs and colds, right now, that is preventative. The medicine that the trees and plants provide is a timely cure for seasonal ailments. One of the medicines is in the spruce tree, and it has many gifts in it. There is an old man's beard, which is what they call it, and it is in specific. It specifically treats strep throat and skin conditions. The winter weather can be quite harsh on our skin, and it's drying out. And many trees have a sap that they produce that can be mixed into a salve, and that can prevent dryness of the skin. And many of these tea leaves can be used into making a tea, and that can prevent and postpone relief of digestive conditions. So Brenda goes on to say that there are many ways in using traditional plant medicines that can help alleviate ailments of the winter. So when I was reading some of this, I thought to myself, I will never be out in the woods again, or like, I live in North Vancouver, so we are surrounded by woods and trees and all sorts of things, but I will never look at a tree the same way after listening to how Brenda regards trees and the land that she lives on, and her family has lived on since time immemorial, and how her people have used the medicine of plants to fight off illnesses of the wintertime. So with that, I want to welcome you to Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. And tonight we're offering you our Almost Live event number 167. It's an East Van Panto revital of The Little Mermaid. We have played this before, but it is a time-long favorite. I think this is one of the favorite pantos ever, I think, if I read that correctly. This is with our partnership with the Cultch and Theatre Replacement, and our two special guests in the space tonight are Maiko Yamamoto, who's the artistic director of Theatre Replacement, and Dawn Petten, who plays Ursula, one of my favorite characters ever. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome, Maiko. How are you both? I'm so excited.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, it's
Thank
so
you
great.
for having this villain present in your space.
Supervillains are always welcome in the space. In fact, many blind people, as you might know, are portrayed as supervillains in TV. So why not have a supervillain in the space?
Likewise, hi Amy, hi everybody. I feel really grateful to be here, and I'm so happy that we get to experience Little Mermaid together again, because it is one of the favorites for sure.
It brings joy on my face. I think The Little Mermaid itself, as a I guess I can say as a Disney production, is one of the favorites of all time from Disney. So, but give us a little background on the Panto, Maiko. Like, how long has the Panto been around? Why East Vancouver? And how do you pick? How do you? I don't want to give this all away, but like, okay, just tell me. Give me some background on the Panto. Let's go. Let's start there, because I'm gonna just lead you to water that.
Well, this is the 12th East Van Panto, if you can believe it. So we've hit 12, and we
Yikes.
actually made a calendar this year because we hit 12. So I thought, oh well, there's 12 months of the year. We have 12 pantos. That'll make a really nice calendar. And it was really interesting going back and looking at all of the pantos that we have done, and just, yeah, sometimes it's really, I don't know how you feel, Dawn, because you've been there since the very beginning as well, but it just seems unbelievable that it's number 12, but it's also wonderful. And I think it could only happen in East Van. I think that's what kind of made this chemistry experiment really work, is that there was something, there was something that I think the community here in East Van really wanted or needed or desired, was to see themselves reflected on stage. And so it was really great to highlight the actual locations, and to be able to talk about that with all the different creative teams was really exciting. And usually really so much humor inside of those conversations, so much dreaming, so much play. Um, it just feels really joyful to be able to get started with each new production, and then to see it through, and then to be able to, have these experiences with audiences. Yeah, it's been very magical. And how they get chosen, or how they get selected, is really an interesting process too. Usually we start with a core creative team. So it's always Veda Hilly who's doing the music, and who's like so good at it now. It's just become a real practice for Veda to create magic with the music and the song selection, and then to be able to like write the lyrics that really fit the narrative of the show, and serve the story. Um, And then it's a writer, and this year we've opened up to have two writers, which feels really good also, and then a director core team. And of course, there are lots of people that work on the Panto that have been there, um, repeatedly, lots of
Mm-hmm.
company members, lots of designers, etc. But that's kind of where we start with the conversation with that core team. And the writers usually, you know, it's there's lots of conversations. It just starts with dreaming, just trying to see what their interests are, and then slowly they kind of narrow it down. And because we work in these 2-year cycles, so each of that core team leads the Panto for 2 years,
Yeah.
it gives them a little bit of room to like dream as a pair, sort of
Hmm.
have a
I like that.
trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure when Jiv and Christine landed on Beauty and the Beast, they didn't know they wanted to do Robin Hood yet. They
Mm-hmm.
might have had it in their back pocket, but then right after Beauty and the Beast kind of finished, they,
They knew
honed
where they
in
wanted to
on the
go.
story. Yeah, yeah.
Dawn, what has been your involvement since the beginning of Panto? How did you get
I
involved?
was I was so lucky to be invited to be in the first Panto, to be in Jack and the Beanstalk, playing the harp of all characters. Um, and it was such a, wacky, amazing experiment that it was one of those things that in rehearsal, I felt myself like thinking all the time, is this funny? Am I being funny? Like I had never seen a Panto ever. I still haven't seen one other than East Panto. Probably ruined the more traditional ones for me because I love all the local references so much. And so, yeah, it was this great experiment. And since then, I've been so privileged to be invited back to be in a total of 7 different ones. And it's just been a delight. And now my child is in the current one, and she's in Little Mermaid as the starfish, one of the child
Oh.
team in The Little Mermaid tonight. So now I get to be a stage mom to a Panto kid, which is a wonderful role, most challenging. Uh, but so I over the course of my years, I've played a harp. I played Hansel and Gretel. I played Gloria Makarenko, the good witch in our Wizard of Oz. To playing Ursula, so the prince and Cinderella. So I've been able to do such a crazy breadth of different characters. But for me, Ursula was the first time I got to play the villain. And it was interesting because Meg Rowe, that was our year 2 cycle after doing Alice in Wonderland. I played Alice in Alice in Wonderland. Is that Meg called me and said, okay, if we're doing Little Mermaid, is there someone you'd like to play? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then as soon as I got off the phone with her, I thought, I haven't been booed. I haven't been booed at the Panto. Like, how could I have done the Panto so many times and never have that experience? And then it was just so delicious. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been, the Panto has been such a gift in my life over the last 12 years. And Maiko and Theater Replacement and the Cultch are phenomenal at creating something that is so special. And I can't tell you the joy of seeing people arrive at the theater, from the local neighborhood coming in, families who buy tickets for the same night, looking out at the audience and seeing 3 generations side by side, everyone from people on their first date to kids at their first play, people who have come over from Britain and grew up with Pantos. So the audience that we have, our VocalEye patrons, our audiences are so special, and there's no feeling like it. There is no feeling like it in terms of the electricity in the room, the way that everyone can be vocal and be present and be very live. It is like this amazing wave that you just surf on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no in kind of like a relaxed performance environment. There's no need to sit still in your seat. You can yell back at the stage. In fact, you're encouraged to by being prompted to, right? And that's part of the magic is that you just you feel like you're a part of the world that you're in, and that's like you said, that's delicious. That's just
Mhm.
that's kind of why we go to theater is just to be in that moment. And there's nothing like that. Okay, let's set up what we're going to experience tonight before we hit play. Who wants to set this up?
Dawn, do you want to
Want to
talk
set it up,
about
Dawn?
this? Yeah.
Go ahead, Maiko, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, this was our 10th anniversary East Van Panto. I feel so like it's incredible. And it was it's quite a special production of it's The Little Mermaid. The neighborhoods in which The Little Mermaid traversed was all the way down from Daniel Help Me Here, Britannia Park, all the way through to where do we travel to in
New
that one, Dawn?
Brighton, New
New
Brighton.
New Brighton,
Brighton.
On the seashore
That's
of New
right.
Brighton Park.
That's where we start. And some of the characters that we're going to experience are, of course, Ursula, of course, Ariel, the Little Mermaid. Um, one of the wonderful things that Sonia, the playwright, did with this is the twist on the love story that's inside. So we have Irk, who was played by Ghazal Azarbad, and then we have, of course, we have our three Panto chorus kiddos who play a whole bunch of different, the starfish, as Don mentioned, but also oysters. Um, and then we have some, of course, many different sea creatures. We have Ariel's father, who's King Triton. But what was the riff on that, Don? It's
That he
King of
was king
Tires.
of the tires,
That's
king of the tire universe.
yeah, the
Right?
tire universe.
I think so.
And visually, it's the backdrops were drawn by Cindy Mochizuki, and I would say it's probably the most like colorful panto we've had. There was also a lot of sculptural elements to the set. We had sort of rocks, as you can imagine, like the ocean would be. There's rocks by the ocean. We also had a character called Rock who sang songs and spoke in the show.
A
Lots of
bubble
fabric,
machine.
a bubble machine,
Fun.
and a lot of fabric that sort of draped over and created a kind of magical, it felt immersive this year, also because the bubbles went out into the audience. And so it's a visual treat. And of course, Mark Chavez played Sebastian the Crab in a JJ Bean Cup
Has he
as a
been
home.
in every Panto?
He hasn't been in quite everyone, but he
Okay.
has. I think he might be the actor that has been in the most pantos, Don. It's either him or you.
Well, he wrote two of them. Was he in both the ones he wrote?
No, he just wrote those two.
Yeah.
He
So
wrote
maybe
Little Red
connected to
Robin
the
Hood
most.
and Snow White. Yeah.
We should have a Panto trivia night.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of fun things here we could do.
That sounds really fun.
Okay, friends. Well, I know the two of you are going to come back and join us for a little Q&A afterwards, which I'm super excited about. But for now, I think we should just hit play on The Little Mermaid. What do you think? I'm
I
excited.
think it's a great
Yes,
I
idea.
got like
Yay.
tinglies. Awesome.
Me too.
All right, so we'll say goodbye to Dawn and Maiko for the moment. And Rick, when you're ready, let's hit play on the East Van Panto, The Little Mermaid.
Due to copyright restrictions, this feature presentation has not been recorded. Please check below for more information, including links to the material if it is hosted elsewhere.
The Little Mermaid in East Van Panto. Here's Maiko. Maiko's back. I've got purple sludge in my...
How appropriate.
Yeah.
It's great.
Purple sludge of despair. Yeah. Love this. The Little Mermaid. Okay, do we have Dawn with us too?
Yes, I
think
see
we do.
Don.
We have a Dawn
Indeed.
square.
I'm here.
Wonderful. You're back. You're back. That was really fun to revisit. I wonder how the two of you feel about revisiting that. Certainly, certainly.
I was texting Dawn actually,
you?
but I was also texting like some people on Team TR and just like taking pictures of it because it was so wonderful to watch it again. And the filming, I'd forgotten how great the filming was. Cameron did an amazing job, and Meg in pulling that together and making it feel really alive for, the home audiences. It was so nice to see it again. I loved it.
I couldn't agree more. I'm wiping tears from my eyes because I find it so moving. Like theater replacement has crafted this beautiful love letter to the community. That's all about celebrating the best parts of the season: family, laughter, love, being together. And I just find it so emotional. And Veda's lyrics are always in that final number. I find so moving. It's what I love about theater is we are all in a room together,
Yeah.
having a shared experience, which is the best of what we want from our holidays, is to be present with each other. So it's for me, it's everything I love about theater, everything I love about community, everything I love about kids. And revisiting it was so special, and to see how much the audience, and you all as the audience tonight, are the heroes of the show in a big way. And how it's so much the synergy between the participation of the audience and the presence of the audience as much as those of us on stage. We truly, like, the audience is the final character when we get to dress rehearsal. We're like, oh, that's what this show is. It's with that final character that is so crucial. So it was so, I found it so fun to revisit.
One of my favorite moments is when they bring Sebastian, when Sebastian brings Adam up on stage to do his own personalized spell. And it's a lovely moment. And then you kind of don't expect it to come back. And then when it does, you're like, oh yeah, right. And it's just lovely. And I can't imagine what Adam's thinking in his chair when his spell comes back and it like saves the world, right?
And that the kids have the power, right? That
Yeah.
kids at the Panto get to feel powerful, and they get to contribute. They get to make the show move forward, which I think is really magical for them.
Yeah.
For all of us to witness that.
Well, speaking of the kids, and I know we've got a couple of hands that we'll take in a moment, but speaking of the kids, what is what's the choice in having the kids, some of the kids come on the stage as part of the ensemble? Why was that a decision for the Panto?
It became really apparent to us, I think, in the third Panto, which was the first Panto that we had, Cinderella with children, that we added sort of East Van neighborhood kids in the ensemble. That it would fill the kids' experience of watching the Panto in a really fulfilling way, to see themselves represented on stage. And so we just came up with this, and we did this prototype where we had, I think it was only 9 kids, that it was like 3 teams of 3. Now we have 5 teams of 3 come in, which feels like the perfect number of teams and kids to have in the process. But yeah, I think that's what it did. It helped the kids see themselves reflected back, and that was such a critical thing that happened. And now the way in which the Panto works with kids, I'm the most proud of. I think it's one of my favorite things about the show, is the way that we get to involve these neighborhood kids, and how much. I mean, Dawn and I were at one of the previews, and I think we were both in tears, because every time the kids came out, there was this uplift of cheers and laughter and tears, and the kids just get so supported through this production. But they also reflect, to the kids in the audience. And if you like that moment with Adam, you're gonna really enjoy, Amy, when you come to the show. I'm not gonna give it away, but you'll be very happy to know. The way that there's a kid cameo that's in this show,
Coming up in
in
Robin Hood?
Robin Hood as well. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about Robin Hood a little later, because
Yeah,
I want you to tease us a little bit, because there are some folks I would still like to get some tickets to Robin Hood. But let's take some hands. We've got a hand from, let me get in here and see if I can read this. One from Ben, and then one from Megan. So let's go to Ben first. Do you have any questions, Ben, or comments for Maiko or for Dawn?
Maiko, are you
Yes?
open to? Can you hear me? It's Ben from
Hi, Ben.
from Kamloops. Can you hear me?
I can.
Are you open to some? Are you both open to some feedback?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, and I want to say, great job. You drew us in for this wonderful experience. You did a very good job. The question that I have, and it's a short one, is how long did it take for you to put this all together? And the other question is, are you going to be bringing this? Are you going to be bringing a part B to VocalEye? Yes or no?
What is a part B, Ben? Can you?
So part B is, are you? So part A is, are you going to be bringing this to VocalEye? Part B is, are you going to be bringing this again to another, like, are you going to be bringing us of these pantos to online? Yes
Oh,
or no?
I see. Yes. Oh, okay. What was the first question again? I've already forgotten it. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so the
How
first
long it
question
took.
is,
How
my
long it
first
took.
How long it
question
takes?
is,
Yes. How
how
long it
long did it
takes?
take you both to put this together?
Mm-hmm.
And part B is, are you going to be bringing this? Are you going to be
Back.
bringing this back to Zoom?
Thank you. So how long it takes is, I think, from when the writers first start coming up with the concept, it's definitely over a year. Like they have to kind of, I know for as we mentioned, we work in sort of cycles of two. So sometimes they're already sort of planning the two narratives that they're really interested in exploring over these two cycles. But it's, we usually end up getting what we call a beat sheet, so a treatment sheet of what they want to do with the story, including kind of how it gets hyper localized, how they take the known narrative and they sort of place it in the context of the East Van Panto and East Van. And so that happens early on in the year, like I would say in January or February, that sort of starts going. And then there's some deadlines like in terms of promotion and marketing that actually assist the kind of development process of it. So we have to do an early photo shoot, write some promo material. We start to sort of get a sense of what things are, and then we start working towards drafts of the scripts or scenes or chunks. And there's 2 week-long workshops that happen, one usually in about May and the other one in July in the summer. And then the core creatives are continuing to work. Things like the designers are brought in, casting all starts to happen so that by the time we get into the rehearsal room, we're kind of ready with the script that they've brought into the process. So it's probably about, like, I would say a like over a year, maybe about 14 to 15 months. But there's some pre-thinking, of course, from the writers that have come before that, but that's usually the cycle. So that's the kind of the length. And in terms of bringing it back, we would really love to bring it back. I mean, I think that the the way in which we all learned how these opportunities to live stream or to bring these productions into new audiences, what that did for creative access especially is really valuable and super important. One of the reasons why we chose not to do it this year is because we were actually kind of doing all of the work off the other live production, and we hadn't really accounted for how much work it actually is to put this on. And the other thing is that it costs a significant amount of money. And I know, and I wish it wasn't about the money, to be honest, Ben. It's but it is also something that we're thinking about, like how can we fundraise so that we can actually cover the costs of doing the film? Because right now the film it loses money essentially because it costs much more to do it than it brings in. I think that actually should be the way it is, but right now we're trying to sort of figure that out. So this year we made the difficult decision. It was really hard. We did have long discussions about it. We went back and forth, and we decided, unfortunately, not to do the filmed version. But it's on the table, and we're trying to figure out how we can do it in a healthy way, in a way that feels like it's yeah, that it makes sense for the production. So please don't give up on it, and we're not either. It was really wonderful watching this all with you because I know I know that it's wonderful to have this opportunity. It's so great. It felt so full to watch it with everyone. So
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you. I'm now going to turn it back to our host, and I'm going to say goodnight to you guys because I have to do something else before I
Great.
go bed here.
Thanks,
So,
Ben.
good night,
Thanks,
and we'll see
Ben.
you next
Hi,
time around.
Ben.
Thanks,
Good
Ben.
night, Ben.
Night, everybody.
How long, when does the rehearsal process start and how long do you get to rehearse for?
It's really quick. It's too quick, probably. We start at the end of October, and there's 2 weeks of rehearsal in a hall, and then we move into the theater, and there's a 3rd week of rehearsal that kind of has tech happening over top of it. And then that 4th week is when we're in previews and we're doing dress, and then we open the show. So it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. It does feel like yeah, I kind of described it at the first day of rehearsal as like standing on the top of a ski hill and getting ready to whoosh. It feels like you're kind of you just sort of it's a momentum thing. So we're also looking at that too, like we're trying, we're always trying to make the process better. Like for lack of a better word and to simplify it, we're trying to, we're always trying to make the process feel good and better. So,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Let's take our hand from Megan. Come on in, Megan. Just give Megan a moment to unmute.
Anyway, okay.
Okay.
I love the show. I always do love those shows. Who played the Queen Ursula? She was a really good actress. Like, oh my gosh, she was
Gee, I wonder who
awesome.
that was.
She
It's
was
right on the
so-
tip of my tongue.
Guilty as charged.
Megan, she's right here in the space with us.
Oh
Dawn
my
Petten.
gosh, it was you! You
It
did a
was.
good
Was
job.
me. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, you did such a good job. Like, you really, really did a good job. Like, you are an amazing actress. Like, how did you learn how to become an actress?
Oh, I was one of those sort of precocious kids who from like a young age was acting up in class in different ways. And then I was really lucky. I went to an arts high school. Well, I had gone to a middle school in Ontario where there were excellent music and theater teachers that really there was such great programming and got to do so much. And they really encouraged me to apply to an arts high school, which really hadn't been on my radar.
Arts
And
high
then
school, cool.
yeah, it was really wonderful. It's like Fame, if any of you are familiar with Fame, with people literally dancing in the hallways. And I was also in the orchestra, and we would play our instruments out in the football field because no one played football, just instruments.
Oh my god!
And it
way.
was really magical. And then I moved out to Vancouver to go to UBC for acting, and I've so enjoyed all that I've gotten to do, and I love acting and certainly loved playing Ursula. So thank you for your comments.
Oh, you're so welcome. I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. I went to a high school and I had a drama teacher. He did pretty good. He encouraged me, but it was not like we only had like one drama class, and there's only one theater teacher, and that was it. So in BC, which is okay. I would have loved to go to that place big time. We're living in Ontario, but yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks,
you.
Megan.
Yeah.
We got Betty Noble next. Come on in, Betty.
Hi, Amy
Hi,
and
Betty.
everyone. I just wanted to say this is my first experience participating in a pantomime, and I felt like I was really participating because, even though I was muted, I could, go ew and no, you won't. And it was just so much fun. I always thought pantomimes were completely silent, and so I thought, well, that's not going to work for me. So I guess I won't ever go to a pantomime. So this was very fun, and it was so well done and just such fun. I just want to thank you guys for doing it and for actually making this film, because I just might go to another pantomime now that I've heard this one, because it was just it was really, really great.
That's
Thank you,
that's
Betty.
great. I mean, Betty, you're a musician, you're a singer, right? So it's right up your alley to be able to sing in the audience and call back, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So
Thank
what's
you
coming
for
up
that,
on
Betty.
Sunday, right, is this year's East Van Panto, which is a Robin Hood theme. Can you tease us a little bit about this next production?
Well, I mean, we can tell you, I think the thing that Jiv and Christine did so well last year was really highlight a certain area of our city, a certain corner, a very specific intersection where of Clark and Venables, where Fujiya is on one side of the street and Mr. Mattress is on the other side of the street. And they really celebrated, they made those two buildings and businesses very iconic. And they are iconic, but they really did a good job of making us feel that. And this year they're doing the same thing, but with Trout Lake Park
Nice.
and the Britannia Library, the Britannia Community Center, and specifically the library. So in the same way that Fujiya and Mr. Mattress were almost additional characters in last year's show, you're going to feel that with this year's show too. That kind of hyper-local celebration of those two iconic locations. I can say there's a lot of animals in this year's Panto. It's very animal forward,
Nice.
we like to say, and that adds a really kind of playful and special element, I think, especially. What else, Dawn?
Oh, well, again, Veda's chosen some
Oh
amazing,
yeah.
like once again. Then
Is
we
there a
had
Taylor Swift song in there?
There's
Is
not
here.
no, but
No.
there's Chapel Rowan, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
There's some Britney throwback, Britney
Nice.
Spears.
That's right.
I think Veda felt like we'd done Taylor a lot.
I was
so.
just wondering because I think I might be just drowning a little too much in the Taylor.
Well, come on, Taylor, it was so huge what happened
I
in
know.
Vancouver over the last few days. But yeah, there's some other couple, like, Veda's always trying to know what the song of the summer is and the hits that are really going to resonate. Yeah, and I think there's definitely several that when the songs start, people get kind of jazzed and excited for them because they're like, oh, it's this song, and it's kind of surprising and wonderful. The costumes are really fantastic. Again, Alea Hamer does just done an incredible job of really bringing the kind of playful, magical world of the Panto to life through the costumes and helping the story along through the costumes. And Amanda Testini's choreography is just fantastic. It's like another level. So you're gonna have fun. It's quite a political Panto. I think there's some years
Ooh.
that they're less political, more social. Then we get feedback that people want them to be more political. And then when they're political, actually it's been pretty positive, mostly that people are enjoying the sort of political nature of it. But it also makes sense with Jiv and Christine that they're going to be really politically activated, So yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. People are having yeah, I know that the company's having a wonderful time performing the show, and it feels like the audiences are too.
There's some knockout singers, just like
Yeah.
the same company as Beauty and the Beast. And boy, the roof of the York Theater, it's like it blows off when Stephanie Davis sings. It's just so tremendous. It's so thrilling. The hair on my arm stands up when I hear her sing. And then Jason, all of the singers are incredible. So it's just so.
But Jason also, last year we made the mistake of putting him in a mattress the whole time. So we didn't get to see what an incredible physical performer he is. He's an incredible physical comedian and performer and dancer, and so that's really been enjoyable.
Well,
to
we got
watch.
some great pictures with him at the Touch Tour in his mattress.
Mhm.
It was great. He came out wearing the mattress, and we got some great photos of Jason's mattress. It was really great.
It was great.
Everyone had a nap.
Yeah, it was really great. And he showed us the blood stain.
Oh yeah.
The blood stain up on the mattress. There's just like all those little insider like costume tricks, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Because Panto's full of those things too. The more unique, the more creative you can be. It's kind of the whimsy of it, I think from both backstage and from the audience seat as well, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of it, even for the actor is being involved.
I do wish we could take a film of what's happening backstage, especially in this one. It's wild.
The Panto documentary.
Yeah, like it's usually very tight back there because the York stage is quite small, and we're lucky to have the fly gallery there so we can do the show there, but there's not a lot of real estate. And so what has to happen this year for it to
Quick
actually,
changes and big,
yeah,
when you have the big costumes and having to go back and forth and pass by each other in the wings, it can be so tight and so funny.
yeah, yeah.
That actually sounds like fun to me, but whatever.
Absolutely.
Dawn, for you, when you revisit the Little Mermaid, do you have any favorite moments of it? Whether it be something that happened on stage or a favorite moment that happened backstage or
Oh gosh, it's kind of every moment holds 100 for me, just in
Mm.
terms of like being in the rehearsal hall, and which is like so fun when you can be inventive and try it different ways and figuring out, like for me with Ursula, figuring out what would be a funny way to do the spells. Obviously Sonia Bennett wrote, so funny to get to say anus, to yell anus at the top of your lungs in a theater show is just, choice, and
Sure.
how much the kids and adults can be in on that joke and have so much fun. I love getting to, my favorite singer ever is Kate Bush, and getting to do that version of
Mm.
Running Up That Hill with Andrew Wheeler with that funny choreography is very fun for me. I love getting to see the moments where I'm interacting with the audience, because, as I said, that is where the magic is.
Yeah.
It's really special to see me get to hold hands with my kid in the bow.
Oh,
Um,
I mean, come on. Well, that was
so
so
that is like,
sweet.
oh,
Props
it's
to the starfish.
yes, so the star, exactly. So it's so special to see my young kid and know how magical that is on the inside for her as a Panto kid, and to be a part of that community and what's so special about being in theater. So yeah, for every moment I kind of go into rehearsal, and then watching my fellow performers, I'm just filled with admiration looking at Amanda Sum's, beautiful choices and her beautiful voice, and just marveling at Sonia's writing. So I really feel like I'm just filled with admiration for the team that made that show come together, and the bold choices by Meg and by all the designers. That it really is just, it is top of list of shows I've done in terms of being a blast, being so fun to perform, just being like a treat.
Getting to play. When
Mm-hmm.
you because both of you have been in pantos, from the actor's perspective, because I think some, if you're not an actor or have never been in a show, maybe you don't understand how that process works. How much do you get to contribute to your character? How much of you goes into that? How much do you get to decide how that character moves or talks or thinks, or just share a little bit of that texture with the audience so they kind of get an idea? Because I think some people um, have this idea of directors being like, now you do this, you do this, you do, you know what I mean? There's this kind of power dynamic, I think, that we maybe have been taught exists, maybe more in film than television. But I would love for people to hear how involved and how much, I don't know if control is the word I want, but how much autonomy the actor has in the role that they have.
I don't know about you, Don, but I feel Lepanto is a hugely collaborative
Mm-hmm.
work. It, like all of theater placements work, it's kind of built into the bones of the company and the values that we have. And I'd say, like, when I get to do a panto and I'm reading the script, it's all about, like, you go into the process going, I need to make a choice. And sometimes the first choice you make is not the best choice, and it takes a bit to find it. But sometimes you kind of have this beat on, like, what would work, or what would be the funniest, or have the biggest payoff. And so for me, that's the nervousness about, like, getting into the script as an actor, is like the choice you can make. And there's a world of choice. Like, there's so many choices you could make, and knowing which one is the right one. And then the day of the table read, when you try things out and you get the feedback for, like, that's actually kind of funny, or that's not working quite well, or I've tried this accent and it's not quite, but it really is about making those choices. So I would say, as an actor, you have so much influence on how to shape those characters, and you really bring them to life. And that's considered right down to, like, when people are thinking about casting, they're thinking about who are those actors in the city, like Dawn, that have that ability to bring something quite special and significant into the process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it is really a collaboration. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I would agree. There's so much autonomy, especially with comedy specifically, in terms of like trying things, keep throwing it on the wall and see what sticks. And so, I was lucky enough to be asked to read in the Robin Hood one of the first reads in the summer. And with that experience, when you have a table read for the writers, it's the first time you're seeing it. You don't even get it beforehand sometimes. So you read, you're playing the crow. Got to make a choice right away. What does the crow sound like? What's going to be the take on this voice? So you make sort of instant choices. And then what's really fun in terms of throwing a lot of choices out there is we get the feedback, as Maiko said, of those in the room of what's funny. But also in some ways we build the comedy. Like the Panto has certain comedic rules that, like, Veda's been in the room every day of every Panto. Maiko's been in the room. Like, so we have these collective brains that sort of, and I even like said to Mark for Ursula, I'm like, I was trying out different spell things. And I was like, oh, Mark, who is, such a comedic genius. I'm like, what are some things I can think about in, trying other things with the spell when I hadn't quite found it? And he said, it is always fun when a high status character does something that's very low status. So for me, that was saying abawa kadabawa, like a little kid,
Yeah.
Making a funny face, crossing my eyes for the spell, in terms of, and then yelling anus and, all of that. So the comedy people in the room kind of feed in with their ideas as well.
That's collaboration 101 for you, isn't it? I love it. My favorite way to work. Dawn, Maiko, it's really been a pleasure having you in the space. I don't want to take up any more of your night. You've been so generous joining us in the VocalEye space and talking about Panto. I could talk about Panto forever. I feel really blessed to be, I don't know, can I call myself a member of the TR family? Theater Replacement
Absolutely, Amy.
Amy. And being involved in some of the work that you all do and taking the workshops that you've done and with Through My Lens and those kinds of things. It's been a real lovely ride, and maybe one day I'll see y'all on a Panto stage. You never know. I keep throwing that out there, and the universe will pick the right time when it's ready. But until then, I will be in a seat at the York Theatre on Sunday, December the 15th at 2 p.m., right at 2 p.m. sharp, to watch Robin Hood at the East Van Panto this year, because I'm really excited about that. So friends, if you haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets. So Dawn, Maiko, thank you so much for joining us in the VocalEye Almost live space. Pleasure.
Thank you, Amy. It was so fun. Such a pleasure.
It was such a pleasure. And thank you all for being in our audience tonight and live in the theater sometimes as well.
Really great. Have a lovely evening. Get yourself some break time. The season is upon us.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you for being here.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.